Hello and welcome back to a wonderful Monday on Crypto. Oh my God, today we're going to talk about privacy, where it's moving, and some of the latest and greatest updates coming out in the great adoption curve of cryptocurrency, moving from niche to mainstream. Let's dive right in. Bam. One of the major narratives that we need to appreciate with all things blockchain and crypto is that we are moving to an increasingly digital age. The era of AI, the era of surveillance, whether it be financial, whether it be data, it is ever present. And blockchain is going to act as the trust layer in this new digital world, in our metaverse future. And one thing that I find to be pretty alarming is this post from Signal. Now, Signal is one of my favorite applications. They're a nonprofit run peer-to-peer messaging service that is fully encrypted. This means they have no reason to add backdoors. There's not many threats that can be levered against them because they're not there for the money. They're there for the privacy. And they posted 3 days ago, we're alarmed by reports that Germany is on the verge of a catastrophic about-face, reversing its long-standing and principled opposition to the EU's chat control proposal, which, if passed, could spell the end of the right to privacy in Europe. And this is something that is happening again and again. Obviously, in the United States, there's a lot of fear and froth coming from our own administration that is pushing us away from our right to privacy. And we've seen this with Google taking down AI search results regarding ICE, Apple closing access to applications that reveal the locations of ICE agents and current raids. And sure, that might sound extreme, and maybe you even agree with it, but when privacy erodes, it erodes quickly. And once it's given up, it's nearly impossible to retain. So this is just a signal that we are continuing to move in this rather unsavory direction regarding personal privacy and into a surveillance state. But of course, the solutions to that will be zero knowledge technology on blockchain, private data storage through decentralized storage solutions, decentralized access to the internet like 00, and so many other things moving forward. Crypto in the blockchain industry is not going to be a nice to have as much as a need to have if we continue to march in this direction. Now, all of that is happening at the same time that the fiat dollar is being devalued, largely by the Trump regime, the way that they're taxing the US citizen through the tariffs and the constant inflation going on. Now, with crypto being an obvious hedge to that, we're just seeing win after win for the Bitcoiners. And this coming in that El Salvador's Bitcoin reserve just hit a new all-time high of 6,341 BTC, worth 792 million. Now they're talking about their reserve of Bitcoin in relation to the dollar. And what we're seeing here is just a generalized visual that the dollar is indeed being inflated away. And any alternative to that is just proving to be a massive win. Now, the reality is the better El Salvador does here, the better their marketing campaign works for other countries to follow on. Now they're in this positive flywheel effect where their early Bitcoin holdings are simply outperforming most of the market. We can also see similar things happening with gold. I mean, gold is on this massive tear. And if we look at historical prices, I mean, this is a hockey stick coming out of 2020, the first time we entered the money printing era, right? The ZIRP, zero interest rate phenomenon. And what we're seeing with this historic vertical line on the end is the devaluing of the fiat dollar and the loss in trust behind its value. That is what the prime motivator here is, the fear of fiat collapse, of these sovereign-backed notes that have no real basis. I mean, when you look at government spending and people go, well, that's a waste of money. There is no wasting money with government spending because they can print anything they so desire. And of course, we have the Triffin dilemma, which would say that the US, being the prime source of trust behind its fiat currency, has to print more dollars to send offshore so that people can trade through dollars. And in doing so, they inflate away the trust and the value of the currency itself. So we're hitting it, and we're hitting it hard. I mean, look, from 1973, 2004, barely any adjustments. Now you get the great financial crisis of '08, and we just go right back into it with everything since the pandemic, causing this wild spike upwards, which is almost unprecedented unless you compare it to the Bitcoin charts. And that takes us to the next topic, which is coming from Singapore and Arthur Hayes, previously of BitMEX. Now, Arthur Hayes is interesting. He's a great person to listen to. His command of prose is awesome. He tells great stories, but he is interested in fleecing you. He's done it in the past with BitMEX, and that's not. However, he talks about this exact point, and it's something he's started for a while, right? It all starts with Trump's secret plan to take control of the Fed Reserve. In today's episode, he explains how the financial regime regime shift plays out. Trump seizes control of the Fed. Why Lisa Cook is the final domino. Yield curve control, regional banking strategy, hyperliquid versus Binance. Sure, you can listen to this if you want, but he's coming in here basically saying Trump is positioning himself to take over the Fed. Now, a lot of people get this wrong online, which is that the Fed is actually a branch of the government, right? Thinking that the government controls how we print our money. They do not. The Fed is a private organization that is run by the heads of the banks. You need to hold bank shares in order to be a sitting member of the Fed, and to hold a bank share, you need to be a bank. So this is a private organization. And if Trump breaks down that private-public relationship, then the government truly does control how and when money is printed. Now, why this is bad is that he can stimulate the economy short term. The whole idea of the Fed is to take that stimulative capability and say, hey, we want to focus on long term, not short term. Otherwise, every president would take advantage of this to boost their little 4-year period, not caring about what happens afterwards. That's what we're looking to see happen. This is why gold is rallying. And if Trump does take over the Fed, you just don't want to be in the dollar, because it's going to be used to make the economy look fucking fantastic for a short while before everything blows the hell up. So this is an interesting take. If you want to listen to Arthur talk about it, again, he's a great storyteller and a fantastic listen, but you've got to take it with a grain of salt that he is on the opposite side of the trade, and he's definitely trying to consolidate wealth towards him. Now, as we move on to the great crypto adoption cycle, which is what I think we're seeing now, 2025 and especially 26 and beyond is going to be the era that crypto really starts to come into its own. We have the new blood, the young blood that looks at the banks and just says, why would I ever deal with this? We have the aging bankers trying to avoid the revelation and the revolution that is cryptocurrency, but they're gray hair and they're old and they think they have a grip on something, but change is the only real constant. And of course, as I've been talking about with stablecoins, we are just seeing yield being shared in ways that are just competitively advantageous to the crypto sector. You get no yield storing your hard-earned savings in a bank, and that's problematic, and that is only going to make the poor poorer. Anyone that's not collecting yield from this new crypto environment is going to find their wealth eroded away. So not only is it coming out as a superior product, but it will increasingly become the life raft that people hold onto and grip. We're already seeing this in developing nations as they want to send money and do remittances, and they save a ton on fees. There's reasons why Africa has adopted crypto, why Latin America has adopted crypto, because when you really need money, when you need savings, its advantages become overwhelming and its competitive edge becomes undeniable. Now, Galaxy, Mike Novogratz's major traditional finance firm around crypto, has just announced Galaxy One. And what this is their take on a super app for consumers to earn more, invest smarter, and put it all together, because the future of money lives on your cell phones. It lives with your AI agents. It lives attached to your natural user interfaces and your prompts to your Meta Ray-Bans. That's just where we're going. And what this is look, starts with our yield. The FDIC insured high yield cash deposit accounts pay 4% annual interest. What are you getting from your banks? Maybe in a checkings account, you're getting like 0.24% or something. But if we're talking FDIC insured, that means you have 250K of risk-free yield at 4%. So just like competitive wise, 4% yield versus 0.4%. Like, where are you going to go? There's going to be other opportunities. If you don't want the FDIC insurance, you can get more yield, right? Annual percentage yield. And for accredited investors, for the wealthy, and this is really a problem that we have in the US, they have a premium yield offering of 8%. So if you're already a millionaire, you can earn twice as much on your savings. I mean, how fucked is that in reality? But that is our administration, that is our government, and that is not the markets. If we can get rid of accredited investor rules, I mean, we would be much better off. So they're coming out with this way to take your cash, to store it on chain. That's the core of all of this. They don't need traditional financial rails, and they can take advantage of their institutional, traditional financial products. They can take advantage of decentralized finance. We can see that this is the future of money. It is quite apparent, and it is coming for the throne. The game is on now, and the banks have very little to offer in this fight, aside from regulatory capture and the fact that they're lobbying the hell out of Congress. So it's really troublesome out there, and you might want to think about ditching that system if you have the opportunity to do so. All that being said, we've been really far down. We've gone really far up. So stay safe. Don't over lever. Get into a buy and hold position and just think long term. It'll let you sleep at night. With that being said, thank you so much. Give me a like and a sub. It would mean the world to me, and I will see you tomorrow.